One. All right. So it says we're live. I don't know if there's any feedback in terms of audio. Okay. So loading, refreshing. We're live. Yay, we're live.
In the group.
Okay, awesome.
You did it. Woo-hoo.
All right. So, all right. So let's give it a minute.
Sure.
Do you hear the audio feedback, like echo, or
no? I don't.
Okay.
Do you hear one?
I do, but I don't. It could be. So here, I've unmuted myself and muted. I don't know. I just it's a bit echoey for me.
You know, that's what happened too on the during the week. So I got interviewed at in another Facebook group, and she used Be Live, and she kept apologizing for the feedback, but I couldn't really hear it. But her as was hearing it on her end. I don't know.
Okay.
The platform.
Okay, so maybe all right. We'll just let it go then for now, and hopefully people will be nice and come back on. A little bit late, half an hour late, unfortunately. I apologize. So, all right. So in the group. So why don't you just start by introducing yourself, and people can catch the replay. So let us know who you are, what you do, and why you're in the group, and what you have to share with us, I guess.
Sure. You can see me okay, right? Looks a little dark here. Yeah. I'm Rosanna, and I am a clarity coach for women in business. My background is in holistic nutrition and energy healing, so I'm also a registered holistic nutritionist. I don't really practice it as much anymore, and I, from there, kind of got into life coaching. I worked in a rehab facility for people who it was for young adults who had mental health issues or different types of addictions. And now I have merged over into coaching for women in business. And it's just kind of been an organic path that I've just kind of been following my intuition and following where I see life taking me. And so just a bunch of different circumstances that I had made me realize I needed to work with women and empowering them in some way. And that awareness came to me a couple of years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what it looked like yet. And so I had a baby, and then last year was really kind of like, I'm like, new baby, new business, or what was going on. But I was just kind of like, okay, what do I want to do versus what I thought I had to do, right? So because I went to nutrition, I was like, no, I paid for that schooling. I have to do nutrition because that's what I went to school for. My heart just wasn't really in it anymore. And the reason why was because I was seeing that even though food is so powerful, and I'll touch on that today, especially with chronic illness, it's incredibly powerful. What I was noticing with all of the people I was working with was that I could give them all the recipes and the meal plans, and the shopping lists and everything. But if their mindset wasn't where it needed to be, or if they weren't happy in their own life, the changes weren't going to either not be made or would only be short term. Like they were not taking the advice and implementing it in the long run. And I just realized that, you know what, people are missing being happy, being connected, following their own calling and just being fulfilled in their lives. And so I heard that when I left my job, I used to be a project manager. So when I left my job to go to school for nutrition, half of the people thought I was crazy because they're like, what are you leaving a job? You have benefits and everything. Like, what are you doing? But the other half were like, wow, I wish I had the courage to do what I really wanted to do in my life. And that always, I don't want to say haunted me, but I've never forgotten that, because I just remember thinking, how many other people are just kind of going through the motions and can't stand what they do for a living and really wish they could do what they wanted. So it all just kind of came together last year. I went to a women's empowerment retreat, and that's where I kind of just said, okay, what do I really want to do? Not what do I think I have to do? What do I want to do? And that's what brought me here. And so where I focus on in this area is helping other women that are in their beginning stages. So either you're in the first 3 years of your business, or maybe you've been doing it part-time, but you're still in what you would consider the beginning stages of your business. And what I have found I'm really good at is helping pull out the answers that you already have within you. So I help women get clarity on what your actual calling is, and then how you can use that in different ways to create streams of income that allow you to serve people and feel fulfilled and happy about that, but also, be able to earn a respectable living enough to support yourself. And the reason I'm in this group is because I myself went through some life changes 5 or 6 years ago, and I really, really struggled. And my journey is that my awareness of it anyway, is that it was my emotions and my thinking that I believe, and I mean, I'm not a doctor and no doctor confirmed this for me, but I just really saw a correlation with how I was feeling. And then my body kind of just started reacting. It's almost like my emotions manifested into my own body. And I just kind of was like chronically tired all the time. I struggled with, anxiety, feelings of depression. And that's what kind of got me interested in this group, because I'd never heard the word spoonie before. I had to Google it. I didn't know what that meant for the longest time. I was like, what is that? So I looked it up and I was like, okay, I see. And yeah, that's why I'm here. I wouldn't say I'm chronically tired now, but I wouldn't also say that I'm 100% healed either. So there's definitely still days where I am exhausted, and there are days where I just have to shut things down and just, if I have an appointment, I honor my appointments and stuff. But other than that, if there's other miscellaneous things, I have to work those around in my schedule. So I can say that I definitely relate to a lot of what a lot of people through here are probably going through.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So I love good old Tim Hortons. So, yeah, and I mean, for those of you who are new to the group and everything, I personally know Rosanna in person, so she's one of my in real life people that's part of my community. And I remember, what was it, 5-ish years ago, when you started doing some Reiki and healing on me. And we met that way, and I mean, it was definitely and things have popped up, whether it's people or other bits and pieces in business have popped up in the meantime. But yeah, and I love that you're really able and free to talk about, like your journey as part of the journey of your business, right? It's not quite separate, right? Because you, as an entrepreneur, as a running your own business, what you feel impacts, and what you think impacts what you do on a business level and a life level.
Absolutely, yeah. And I say all the time, like, if you ever want a crash course in personal growth and development, start your own business, because I didn't even realize either how much, and it makes sense. If you're starting a business where even if you're someone who's behind the scenes, you still have stuff that comes up. However, especially when you have a business where you've got to be on camera or put yourself out there as an expert, any insecurities that you have come up. They just all do. And the funny thing is like my daughter's generation, I have a 10-year-old, she doesn't care. She's on TikTok, she's online. They're growing up and it's a normal thing. But I noticed for our generation, and I'm probably much older than you, Jasmine, but I'm in my late 30s, but even just people who didn't grow up necessarily with the internet or with live video or as much video, it's really hard to be like, what do you mean I have to get on video? Like, oh no, I don't want to put myself out there. There's so much more that comes up, I find, for us. I think that the younger generation won't struggle as much. But yeah, it's like any insecurity you have comes up. And I struggled so long, like 5 years ago, me going on a video would never have happened. Never. Now I could care less. Now I've practiced. Now I just don't even care. what I look like, if I look funny, if a booger's hanging out of my nose, I won't even care. Not that that has ever happened, but it's like I am how I am and that's it. But it's taken so much work to get here, right? And yeah, and every woman that I speak to says the same thing. Like there's so many women who have all the tools, they have all the knowledge, they've taken all the courses, but they're still not taking action and putting themselves out there because there's all of these insecurities or limiting beliefs, fears that are holding them back. And I know for myself, I thought my problem was perfection. And so I gave myself permission to no longer be perfect. And so I purposely would do videos where the lighting was crappy, where my hair wasn't done and I had no makeup on. And once I felt really good about that, something else came up and I was like, oh, I thought my problem was perfection. No, it was unworthiness. And I was like, oh, well, where did that come from? And so, I've been doing a lot of work on that, and it's a never ending journey. I have to work on my mindset daily. And that's what has inspired me to help other people too, because, if I can help someone who is where I was 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, even 1 year ago, I feel like I've grown so much, even just in the last year. And it's because I've been just putting so much work and so much effort into working on my mindset every single day to just kind of get me there and get better and get stronger and just get more comfortable. But yeah, definitely it's not necessarily super easy, but the light at the end of the tunnel is that whole saying of like, I don't want to say practice makes perfect because no one's perfect, but practice does make you comfortable. That I have seen. So that's what I like about it, is that it's not, if you're feeling stuck or scared or anything else that's holding you back, it doesn't have to be permanent. If once you identify that, okay, this is what I'm experiencing, but it's temporary, then it's easier, I find, to move forward.
Yeah. I for me, a lot of the time, I want to be at the end of the tunnel. I don't want to get through. I don't want to go through the tunnel. I just want to be at the end, right? See the light at the end. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they want an easy answer, or at least something that's a little bit less long term.
Right.
And when it comes to going through the emotion and going through the mindset and building up the practice and the habits, it becomes difficult, especially for people with chronic illness and spoon, because tomorrow I might sleep till 1 o'clock and forget breakfast, right? I slept through breakfast, but my body needed the sleep. So it's a trade-off, right? Which one is more important, building the habit or getting the sleep? And sometimes you don't have a choice, right? I slept through it and I don't have an alarm. I'll deal with it tomorrow. So what are some tools and tips that you can sort of just say to help those people who are kind of, feel like they're in it for the long haul and they just started the long haul? What do you suggest?
Well, the first thing I would say is there's two things that are going on. There's what we desire for ourselves and how quickly we want it to go. And then there's the universe's plan for us, or God's plan for us. So that's something that I've noticed, is no matter how bad I want something, it's like it's its own divine timing. And so, whatever it is that you refer to, whether you say spirit, God, whatever it is, I say God as part of my journey. I remember just being at rock bottom and I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I don't even know. So a friend of mine had invited me to a church, and it was different than kind of how church was growing up. It almost just seemed like life coaching, but he was just kind of also referring. It was almost like life coaching, but instead of giving us inspirational quotes, he would like refer to the Bible. And I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. So I don't consider myself religious. Like I don't subscribe to any specific kind of church type deal. However, I've been really, really working on my connection to like intuition and any kind of feeling of that divine energy. So when I first started working on this, I remember just getting this feeling that the message for me was one step at a time, one step at a time. And I swear it took me 2 years to realize that when I got that message, I was actually walking down the stairs, which I think is hilarious. And I can't believe it took me 2 years to be like, oh my God, I was walking down the stairs and I got that. Oh, that's so cool. So that's number one, is there's what you want, but there's also having that patience and surrendering to like kind of what's in store for you. If that hopefully that's what you believe. That's what I believe. And I find it's been very just kind of reassuring. When I throw my hands up in the air and say, I don't know what to do anymore, I get more answers because it's just like, you tell me what to do. And so I would say that's kind of step one is that whole surrender. Not surrender to your illness, but just surrender to, okay, this is how I'm feeling right now. I know how I want to feel. What is it that I can do that can start helping me get there? Like another message I felt like I've received very clearly, I journal a lot. That's one of the tools. I'll get into that. One of the other messages I just felt really strongly was, you ask for what you want, Rosanna, and then you do everything you can do on your end, and then the universe will meet you halfway. But you can't just sit there and ask the universe to make everything better. You have to ask yourself, what can I do to make things better? So those kind of two messages have helped me greatly. And then in terms of my toolbox, it's spending time on my mindset every morning. And I mean, if you sleep until 1, it doesn't have to be morning, but the first couple hours of my day, like good 2 hours, if not more, I will spend on mindset a lot of times. And I've heard certain experts say, oh, it should only be 20 minutes and it should be this, it should be that. When you're in the beginning, or if you're struggling with anything to do with your mindset, which is basically the thoughts you're thinking, if there's anything, any negativity, self-talk, inner critic, imposter syndrome, any of that going on, I think it's really critical to spend as much time as you need to on that every day. Because once you can get to a place where you're then feeling comfortable and confident, what I find is when I'm feeling my most confident, I actually whiz through all of my tasks so much faster, because that self-doubt or unworthiness in my particular situation will slow me down. And so what I do every morning is I will listen to a podcast that I find inspirational, whether it's something spiritual or something about mindset or personal growth, just something. And I kind of do that to wake me up. And then I get a journal. Mine happens to be next to me. It's nothing fancy. I bought it at the dollar store. It's like nothing fancy at all. And in it, I just write. I started doing journaling, I don't even know when exactly. It hasn't been a year, but it's been more than 6 months. So somewhere in the middle. And I had no idea how much journaling would actually clear my mind. I had no clue. I was like, what am I, like 12 years old writing in a diary? Like, I just didn't want to do it. And I kept hearing people talk about it. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get to it. But I can't remember exactly what I was going through at the time, but I just decided to, like, oh, what the heck, let me just give it a try. So I started just printing, and then I just felt like, you know what, I haven't written in cursive writing in years. Let me try to do like some cursive writing. And I challenged myself to write as beautifully as I possibly could. So I did, and what I found was, because I changed just my writing from printing to cursive writing, it slowed down how quickly I could write because I needed to make sure I could read it. But by forcing myself to slow down, it calmed my brain. Like, I just felt calmer. And I felt just like more of a sense of peace around me. And I was like, well, that's weird. And so I'm like, okay, let me keep doing it. And so every morning I'll write in there, and it's evolved. Basically, I write out like, thank you for another day. And I think of 3 things I'm thankful for. And it could be anything, like my shoes, my feet, my body, anything. Yes, you may have a chronic illness, but you're alive, right? So that's something to be grateful for. You know what? We all have a purpose. So if you're still here, there's some reason for it. So let's see how we can be grateful for that. And so I'll write 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I might, and I got this from Bob Proctor. I think he was saying, like, send love to 3 people. And I can't remember if it was him or someone else, but what I do now is I send love to 3 people. One of the 3 people is someone that I don't actually like very much. Someone who I'm not a huge fan of, someone who's maybe hurt my feelings or been mean to me in the past or doubted me. And there's something just so powerful about sending love to someone that, emotionally you feel like they don't deserve it. But there's just something so freeing about that. And then once that's out of the way, I will write how I'm feeling. Because gratitude is the number one thing to cancel out any negative thinking. That I learned in the rehab center, for sure. Gratitude, anytime you're feeling, not so great, if you could think of something immediately that you're grateful for, it's one of the best tools. that you can use. And so once I'm done with that, I check in, how am I still feeling? And if it's like, you know what, I'm feeling nervous because I want to put out an offer today, but I'm afraid people are not going to take it seriously, or people aren't going to think it works, or what if I get rejected? And so I'm just honest with however I'm feeling, and I just write it out, and I write it out, and I write out everything I'm thinking about. And so there are times where I'll write for an hour. Some days for like 5 minutes. It just really, it's different every day. And so I allow myself to kind of go with what feels right. But once I write it all out, it's like there's another kind of sigh of relief, because it's like I've released that thinking. And seeing the words on the paper, it just kind of helps me see how ridiculous some of my own thoughts are. Some are valid, and some are like, wow, Rosanna, you're so like, you're so much better than what you think of yourself in this moment, you know? And so then I take a look at what I've written, and then I'll write it out in more affirmative talk. Like, of course I can do this. Of course there are people out there who need the help that I know I can provide. Of course I'm smart enough, because if I wasn't good enough at this, I would never have felt that call to start my own business, right? Like, all of us are in business, and you're in it because you felt called to it, or you're working for other people. So you're like, you know what, I need to figure out my stuff for myself. And I think there's something really powerful in that, and just reminding yourself that, no, I started here for a reason, and I'm going to keep going. And I just kind of find that that process makes things much better. So it's gratitude, sending love, writing out what I'm struggling with, rewriting it in affirmative talk. And then I might write out some like manifestation kind of affirmations, like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have an abundance of energy. I'm so happy and grateful now that I earned $1,000 this week. Like, whatever it is that I want, I will write it out as if it has happened. And I'll take the one phrase and write out a whole page if I have to, until I feel like I actually believe it. Another tool is tapping. So I know that I talked about that, but when I worked in the rehab center, they sent me to become certified as an EFT practitioner. That's another great tool. And so for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a blend of modern psychology and acupressure. So I never had anyone do acupressure on me, but I've had acupuncture done. So it's basically those same areas that an acupuncturist would maybe put a needle in, but you can tap on these areas. It's the same energy meridians that they use. And the way that it works is, if you're talking about your biggest issue while tapping, it sends a calming signal to your brain to let your brain know that you're actually not in extreme danger, right? Because our brains don't know the difference between real danger or perceived danger, or when you're reliving an event in your head over and over again, right? Like, let's say Jasmine and I get into a fight, and that happened a month ago, but here I am looking at her and I'm getting upset because I'm thinking of that fight we had. My brain doesn't know that I'm not having a fight again, right? How many times have you been in a situation where you're thinking about something and you get all riled up, right? You get all mad, you get all nervous, or you might start crying, and you're actually not in the event anymore. The event's over, but you've brought yourself back there, because that's how powerful our thinking is, right? And it's not just your thinking that gets affected. Your whole body starts changing and reacting as if it's happening again. So the way that tapping works really well is that if you're tapping on what you're feeling, it helps to kind of clear it out, and it lowers the severity of the intensity. The greatest thing about tapping is it works very, very well with pain. It works with phobias. The person that I met that convinced me to look into tapping even before I worked at the rehab was a gentleman that I met at a seminar, and he was a former, was he in the Navy? I don't know. It was the Australian version of the Army. I have no idea what it was, but he fought for his country in Australia, and he had really severe PTSD. And he told me that he was suicidal and that he just could not function. And he told me that tapping saved his life. And it was weird, because I had this tapping book in my shopping cart on Amazon, and I'd been like, I don't know if I'm interested in this stuff. And as soon as it's a seminar of 2,000 people. What were the odds that I sat next to this guy? Like, you know what I mean? The universe just works the way it needs to work. And so as soon as I finished my conversation with him, I went back up to my hotel room and I bought that book. And it's called The Tapping Solution. know if you've heard of it, but you can go to, I think it's like thetapping-solution.com. Anyway, they have an amazing documentary that they put together. And they took people from all different types of circumstances. There's someone who, needed to quit smoking. There was a woman with fibromyalgia. She was in severe pain, chronic pain for years. Someone who'd been in an accident, people with back pain, all different types of situations. And I remember specifically that it was a 3-day event. And the woman with fibromyalgia had said that her pain left on the first day, and they interviewed her, I don't know how far afterwards, a few months later or so, and she had reported that none of the pain had come back. And I was like, wow, it's so interesting. I always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And so obviously everyone's in a different place, and depending on what your chronic illness might be, it may take longer, but if there's anything I can say about like the number one tool to have, it's really the mindset of believing that this doesn't have to be your final destiny. And I know that when we're feeling in pain and when we feel like we just can't get out of bed, and when you're so tired, it's so hard to be positive in those moments. Like, it's so hard to be optimistic because you're just like, oh my God, like, why do I feel like this? I'm too young to hurt this much. Like, I'm not supposed to feel this way, I would go up the stairs and be like, why am I aching? I'm not 80. I'm in my 30s. I'm not even 40 yet, but I felt like my body was acting like it was 100. And for me, I know that there's no coincidence. When I'm feeling my most defeated emotionally, my body is at its worst as well. Like, for me, I see a definite correlation there. And again, there's all different types of illnesses. So I can't say that necessarily what's going on with me and my body and my life works for everyone. But I do believe that there are lots of tools that we can use. And if you use as many tools as you feel called to use, or if you're open to using the tools that are out there, I do strongly believe that everyone can get better, if not completely healed. I definitely believe that. And even if that puts me in a bubble of my happy positivity bubble, that, you know what, that's okay. I'd rather believe that there's a light at the end of my tunnel than no light at all, right? Because to feel like there's never going to be a solution, it's just so defeating even for yourself. And then I go back to, what were we created for? And I don't believe, not even for a second, that any of us were created to live in constant pain, or to live in constant illness, or constant sadness, or anything constant that's not positive. And so if you're in it and you're feeling it, having that mindset of, okay, this is a season of my life, I'm going through it now, even if it's been years, but is it possible that I can get better? If the answer is no, then I would have a hard time believing that you'll get better if you don't believe it's possible for yourself. That makes sense. And so that mindset I find is very, 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 very powerful. Of, okay, this is how I'm feeling, but what can I do about it? Nutrition is another fantastic tool. In school, I learned that, there are people who have healed themselves. And I mean, you have to say heal yourself with quotation marks, because otherwise the health police and big pharma come after you. But I've met people who had, really bad multiple sclerosis and no longer have symptoms anymore. And there are people who have had really terrible illnesses who have been able to really turn things around with their nutrition. And that is one of the tools. Like, I just picture a toolbox, right? So in my toolbox, what are my tools? Number one is my thoughts and my mindset. 2 is like journaling. 3, gratitude. 4, nutrition, the foods that we're eating. They really, really do impact our health. And so eating as clean as you can, I know it's easier said than done, but when you can eat the cleanest foods in the way that they were created for us to eat them, that sets us up for more energy, right? I know for myself, for sure, when I was going through my challenge, which was mainly emotional, my desire to eat healthy foods went out the window because I just didn't care anymore. I got really sad and really depressed, and I had no desire to cook. And so for me, I see the association, and that my energy started depleting as well, because I was no longer in my body with the nutrition that it needed. Is it easier said than done? Absolutely. Is it easier to have a slice of toast when you just don't feel like doing anything than cooking a meal? For sure. But baby steps and saying, you know what, instead of, something that's processed that I know isn't real food, maybe I'll just, eat a banana. That's fast, healthy food. You peel the banana and you eat it, or an apple, or something very, very small, or just making sure you're hydrated enough and drinking the water. Like, it's incredible. It's not the only tool. I don't think any of these tools necessarily will all by themselves solve everything, but I do believe that a combination can be incredibly powerful. Um, so food, the people that you're around, right? Like, I had to come to terms with my family. I'm being just totally transparent here because I know none of my family's in this group. My family, as much as I love them, I I came to the awareness that they just don't really believe in me. They don't believe in what I do. They don't really understand it. And they're kind of just waiting for me to like give everything up and just go get some office job because that makes them feel more comfortable. And I'm an incredibly intuitive person. That's a struggle too. That can be draining when you're super sensitive to energy around you. I can tell when someone's lying to me. I call myself a human lie detector. It works great as a parent because my daughter can't pull anything past me. Um, but it's also sometimes hard because I can tell when everyone's lying to me, and people lie a lot. And so um, that's draining sometimes because it's like, oh, why can't people just be themselves and be who they are? And that contributed a lot to my chronic fatigue. Was I was exhausted in all of the disappointment I kept seeing around me. I felt defeated and it made me tired all the time, and it affected my health. And so I've had to work hard to, distance myself from the cord that I had with my own family. Like, I'm Italian, and so we were raised that family comes first and family, family, family. But as much as I love my family, and especially my mom, she's very insecure as well. I can see now looking back, and she projects a lot of her insecurities onto me. So I know she's not coming from a place of, being evil or anything. She's coming from a place of fear, but it's impacting me, or it did impact me. So all of that unworthiness stuff was coming because I was feeling like, well, if my own family doesn't believe in me, like my own flesh and blood family, if they don't believe I have what it takes to be successful, why would a stranger think I have what it takes? Like, why would anyone else believe in me if my own family doesn't? And so that's a hard pill to swallow. And I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately, I've met a lot of other people who've had the same experiences, right? Especially when you have an online business, people just don't really understand what that is yet. And especially for us who have any kind of a chronic illness, because it's something people can't necessarily see, a lot of times they also put that stigma on us of, oh, it's all in your head and you're exaggerating and you're being overly dramatic and you're just looking for attention. And so that can, it doesn't exactly make you feel better, right? That makes it worse. And so I just having that mindset routine that just really, really has you tap into your own feelings. And so my next tool is stop caring what other people think about you. And that includes the people that you're closest to. People are going to get disappointed. And once you get comfortable with disappointing people, it's much easier. But I mean, I'm a former people pleaser, and it would really upset me if people were mad at me. What happened as I got stronger was a lot of people started getting pissed off with me. And now I realize it was because, well, they were just so used to treating me the way I was treated. They were used to taking advantage of me. And that stopped because I finally got strong enough to stand up for myself and have enough respect for myself to say no when I really wanted to say no, and only say yes when I wanted to say yes. And it's been very empowering, but it's been a struggle emotionally because I don't like disappointing people. I didn't want to give up certain relationships, but I also had to recognize that sometimes relationships are toxic and they're not helping you. And you do need to either get completely away from people who are toxic or reduce the amount of time that you spend with them if it happens to be family or people that maybe you even live with and you can't necessarily get away from. But that's one of the things I have to learn to, or I've been learning to really focus on, is not letting other people's energy affect me. I believe that's also a lot of the reasons why a lot of us have chronic fatigue, feel it. We pick up other people's energies. We feel it in them, or at least I know I do. I'm a very empathetic person, and that drains me as well. I notice if I'm around anyone who's very, very negative, like I have this one family member who I'll say like, wow, what a beautiful day it is outside. And her answer will be like, no, not really. Like anything I say, she cancels everything. And it's like, God, after hanging out with her for half an hour, I just want to go to bed. Like, it's like, I'm drained. Like you actually sucked out all my happiness. And I think I've heard them referred to as energy vampires. And so that's another tip, is be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with, because they impact your health. And if it's someone that you live with and you can't, leave now, it's worth considering what it would look like to prepare yourself to be on your own, if you know deep down that that is what will serve you in the long run. Like, I just feel like for me, my body tells me when I'm with the right people, or it tells me when I'm with the wrong people. When you meet someone, your intuition is so strong. When people say, I don't know, I have a funny feeling about that person, or this person kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. Listen to that feeling. Listen to it, because that is your body telling you, or your soul telling you, or or the universe telling you, however you want to refer to it. Our bodies are so strong. Our bodies have like so many, many abilities, and our minds are so, 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 so powerful. They're so powerful in a negative way, unfortunately, but they're also really, really powerful in the opposite. The reason why I spend so much time on a morning mindset, so for me, sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's the whole morning, and I actually don't start working until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because I've literally spent the entire morning working on myself. That's what I have to do. If that's how I'm feeling, like Jasmine, you said, what do I do? Wake up early because I have to eat my breakfast, or do I let myself sleep? For me, rest has to come number one. So if your body didn't wake up, then your body needed the rest, right? And so it's just kind of that same kind of thought process. Exercise, of course, is another one. Definitely easier said than done. I, at the beginning of the year, was like, yeah, I'm back into fitness. So I'm also a former fitness instructor. Okay, I used to teach intense workouts, and I was much fitter, much lighter than I currently am right now. So, I moved a TV down to the basement. I was like, great, I got my gym area back again. I'm going to go back in it. And I did for a couple of weeks, like every single day. And I didn't worry about if I had the same intensity as the people on the screen. I just did my own thing. But after a couple of weeks, I could feel myself burning out again. It was like, here, I went a little too strong too quickly. And it's just that message for me always comes back one step at a time, one step at a time. Even if it's just going for a 5-minute walk, even if it's just putting my headphones in and listening to some fun dance songs on YouTube, that's what I'll do. I take dance breaks all the time during the day. And I listen to songs that make me happy, or songs that make me want to dance, and that makes me kind of move my body. I'm not really concerned with having a six-pack at the moment. But I do want to move my body, because I do know that that's good for me. And when I became a fitness instructor, it actually started because I was dealing with really, really terrible anxiety. And as I started exercising, I felt so much better. And I don't know what it was in me, but there was something with me that I was like, no, I can't take a pill for this. If I do, I'll never stop. Like addictive personality. Like I drink way too much coffee. Like, hello, here it is. And so I know that I'm the type of person, and this is just me, that if I were to be given a prescription, I'd never stop. And I was worried about that. And I was like, no, I got to do something else. And so somehow, I can't even remember how exercise came in. And it is true that when you work out, your endorphins are flying. Like I would feel so great after a workout. And then I, eventually I became a fitness instructor. Definitely didn't happen overnight. And I definitely don't have the fitness level now to teach again. And I know that it's because of emotional stuff I went through, and chronic illness has brought me where I am. But I have to believe that I can feel healthier again. Because if I don't believe that it's possible, the rest of my life is just going to suck. It's going to suck. You have to believe that it's possible to get better, I would say. So when I talk about exercise or fitness or body, it's really any kind of movement of the body. If it's a couple deep breaths and stretches, and I don't know, like I haven't had a lot of people tell me to go do yoga, but I see a lot of these posts about, oh, yoga is not the answer. So I don't know if that's what some people say. I wouldn't say it's the answer either. Is it a tool? It's one of the tools that you could use if you're ready and you're feeling up to it, right? But for me, it's like you kind of have to pick the tool that number one you most desire to do first, that you actually want to do, or that like you kind of feel called to do. For me, if I have to pick between focusing on eating healthy or focusing on moving my body, I've noticed that with me, when I just focus on eating healthy and no exercise at all, I'm not interested. I don't know. It's just like, it just feels like I'm on another diet and I don't want to do it. When I focus on moving my body more, I tend to notice that I then start craving healthier foods. It's like, okay, so my approach for me is that fitness will come first as I continue on my health journey, because I'd like to get rid of this. And I know that when I move my body, I feel happier, I feel more positive, and then I feel that desire. I'll be like, you know what? I want to have a salad. And it's like, well, who's talking right now? Like, so it's just been easy to and interesting to just kind of to follow. So, I'm very big right now in a movement of stop listening to what everyone else is telling you to do and just listen within. So my whole goal here in talking to you all is to hopefully give you some tools. You've probably heard of all of them. I don't think I'm saying anything that's brand new information. But if I can encourage anyone to reframe your thinking, if you're feeling defeated and if you're feeling like this is how my life is going to be forever, if I could invite you to reframe that and start feeling the possibility of feeling energetic again, that is going to be a huge change for you. Because what I noticed when I worked in the rehab is we would have people there for all different types of reasons. But what happens is sometimes we start becoming comfortable with we get used to it. Right? We get used to feeling sad all the time. Like I remember this woman once was like, oh my God, I don't feel anxious. I can't remember the last time I didn't feel this way. Like it was like she had forgotten what it felt like to not have anxiety. And it was just like such a beautiful moment. Now for that woman, that was great. I remember another girl who, as she started coming out of things and started feeling better, panicked and wanted to quit the program because she was no longer in her comfort zone, right? Like sometimes our illness starts to become our comfort zone. And then we don't even realize that even though we want to get out of it, we're not fighting hard enough because we get used to it. Right? We get used to living life that way. So the only thing that I could really, really stress is to just have that open mindset of feeling like, you know what, I don't have to be this way forever. There is a solution. And I wasn't created to be like this. If you do believe in God, there's no way he created you to be in pain for your whole life. There's just no way. We're all too special. We have so much to share. We have so much potential, and our hearts are so big. There's no way that we are designed to live in suffering for years and years and years. That you were not designed for that. You were designed to go through whatever you are going through, learn from it, whatever you can. That's why I like to say I'm a clarity coach or help people with their calling, because a lot of times our calling has to do with what we've been through, right? So I was fit, I was healthy, I was everything. And then my life started falling apart and then my body fell apart. And I was like, as I was going through it, and I was like, God, this sucks. It was like, on the other hand, I was like, this is interesting. I wonder how many other people are going through this right now. Like it was just that awareness of, I realized I'm not alone, right? There's almost 8 billion people in the world. We're actually not that special. What you're experiencing is not unique to you. For sure, there are millions of people all over the world who are experiencing exactly what you're experiencing now too. And I think that for me, one of the biggest defeating thoughts used to be thinking that I was alone or feeling like I was alone in this and no one understood what I was going through. Once I realized that wasn't true, that was very, very helpful as well. And sorry, I keep going in different directions because it's just kind of whatever's coming up for me. So hopefully if anyone's watching this, even the replay, you're taking notes on like the tools that I'm giving you. But also just to keep in mind that hope of knowing that is just a better life as possible for you. And yes, you can, run your business and start feeling better, but you got to do what feels right for you. So if it means that you have to work every other day for now, or if it means you're only going to work 1 hour a day, you can still build a successful business step by step. Like there's a lot of people who work full-time 9 to 5 and they only work on their business as a side hustle and it's 1 hour a day. The key component is what those activities are. And when you're focusing on those key components, so whether it's, working on a website or hiring a VA to help you with some stuff, you're still working on it and you're doing more than someone who's doing 0, right? So tapping into yourself and knowing, okay, how do I feel today? How's my energy? Hey body, how do we feel today? That is super, super helpful. But yeah, sorry, I don't think I finished my thought on the calling. But yeah, a lot of times what you go through prepares you for what your calling is, right? Like if you're someone in this group, right? You have a business and you have a chronic illness, and Jasmine, the leader of this group, has never had a chronic illness and has no idea what it feels like to be in pain or to be exhausted or to feel defeated. There's going to be a disconnect in the amount that you're going to trust what she has to say, because there's going to be a part of you that's like, girl, you don't even know what you're talking about because you have no idea how I'm feeling, right? And the person who's teaching you has gone through what you're going through now. Even if they're not 100% healed, but they're, a few years down the journey and a little closer than you are now, and they can help you. That's how you really build the trust with people. And so in this way, like Jasmine, you're a perfect example. You're using your life as the inspiration to help other people that are dealing with the same sort of stuff. And that's a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, if that's something that you haven't connected yet, it's not for nothing. We don't experience anything for no reason. There is a reason behind every single experience in our life, and nailing down what that is great. Like, man, when you start feeling better, don't you just want to share you want to share with the whole world? Like when I got out of my funk, and again, I still struggle on days, but I remember if I would have a bad day, like, I don't know, maybe someone upset me or said something hurtful to me or stressful, or when we worked in the rehab, someone might quit the program. And when they would quit a rehab, I would never know, oh my gosh, are they going to survive? What's going to happen to them? Like, I would worry about them. And I remember having this one really, really stressful day where this girl tried to like run away and we were trying to catch her or find her, like, for her safety. The next day, I happened to have the day off. I spent the entire day in bed. I couldn't even get up. Like I tried, and it was like I was frozen in bed. I was in so much pain. And that was this was 3 years ago. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something going on here with my body. Like it's more than just feeling tired. There was something chronic that was happening. But it was my experiences that were definitely contributing to it. So I would invite you to also pay attention to how you speak to yourself, right? We're so good at beating ourselves up. Most of all of the information that we absorb is negative. So it makes sense that the majority of all of our thoughts are negative. So when I journal or talk about affirmations or all of this positive talk, we need that because we have to brainwash ourselves back to being positive, because we're always being brainwashed negative, right? Look at the news, it's always negative, right? The news is always who got killed. The news is never really showing you anything good. And then I remember one of the royal babies were born. I can't remember which one. And why do they think we care? Why is this even the news? And I'm like, oh my goodness, something good is on the news and people still don't want to hear it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're just used to negativity all the time. And so opening up to, you know what, I need to brainwash myself positive. It's possible. All of the people who do it, successful people out there that have some kind of routine, they're punching their chest, They're going up and down. Have you ever seen like Tony Robbins and how he prepares for himself before he does something? Because he's getting himself psyched up. He has to believe in himself in order to help all of these thousands of people. But he was created by the same creator that created us. Right? So it's just kind of, having all of these tools in place, having faith that there's more out there, and having faith that you don't have to be stuck where you are. It is a huge, huge, huge component of your success and of your healing. Book recommendation. You Can Heal Your Life. I'm sure most of you have heard of that book. Louise Hay. Oh, I don't even have it with me here. It's upstairs. I love that book. Have you heard of it, Jasmine? You Can Heal Your Life?
I think I've heard of it before. I'm not sure. I mean, I know I have not read it, but I think I have heard it mentioned before.
Yeah. It's I think that was the first book that made me realize there's a relation between our emotions and how our body feels. And I was like, real? Like, I had no idea. And I'm getting ready to reread it again. But what I loved was that at the back of the book, there's a legend, and you look up basically however you're feeling, what thoughts are associated with that. Like, what? So I tested it. When I got the book first, I would tell people about it and be like, okay, tell me, what's going on? Do you have a headache? Like, your shoulder hurts? What's going on? So they would tell me, and I would look it up and I'd read it to them. Not one person ever said it was wrong. Everyone was like, what? The book says that? Are you serious? So off the top of my head, our lungs are associated with grieving. And so if you, for me, that's where my sadness goes. I'll get bronchitis very often. I'll have trouble breathing at times. And now, because I have that knowledge, I'll look back and be like, okay, is there something I'm sad about right now? So let me maybe focus on my breathing. That's another tool. Just breathing, just taking those deep breaths. Because it wasn't until a practitioner told me that I wasn't breathing properly, I didn't even realize. She's like, you're inhaling short, but you're not exhaling enough. And then you're inhaling again, but you're only exhaling a bit. And then you're inhaling again. Well, no wonder my chest was hurting and my upper back hurt. My anxiety was actually changing how I breathed. It was really, really interesting. So yesterday, my husband was complaining that his back was hurting. He's like, it's been killing me, my lower back. My husband lost his job a month ago. So he's been frustrated financially. I happen to know that the lower back is associated with finances. So he's like, my lower back is killing. Like, well, that makes sense because you're worrying about money, aren't you? And he's like, huh? I said, it's associated with worrying about money. He was like, really? I said, yeah. You watch. As soon as you get a job, as soon as things are a little bit better around here, because I'm the only income at the moment, so it's a little more stressful than it usually is. So you watch, as soon as you get your job back again, or another job, or money starts coming in a little bit more easily, your pain is going to go away. I was like, okay, interesting. But he's got to be open to the thought that that's a possibility, right? Because I love him, but he has a negative mindset. And so when he feels pain, that's all he'll talk about. And I'll be like, you got to stop, you're killing me. Like, his energy will drain me. And I can see it in him that he feels his worst when he speaks his worst. That's my tidbit. And I've been going on and on and on. Do you want me to show you quickly what tapping looks like? Or do you want me, I can always come in another time and just do a tapping video. That's something that's super, super powerful and easy.
Well, why don't I give you a chance to have a drink? I'm sure your mouth is dry.
It's not water. I'm sorry. It's coffee.
And I think, if you want to just show us what it would look like, maybe something that you did already today on yourself, and then we can do a how-to video another time, but just so that people can see what it looks like.
Yeah. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to put myself through a tapping round. You can tap with me. So there's such, I'm blanking out on, what's it called? Surrogate tapping. I think that's what they call it, which basically means that even if you're not feeling how I'm feeling right now, if you follow along and just tap along, it actually can help you as well. I've tested this with listening to songs I like and tapping along, and I still feel better when I'm done. So the first thing I do is I have a paper and a pen, and I ask myself how I'm feeling. So you know what? rather than say what I did this morning, I'm just going to do one on myself right now. So I'm just going to tap in and say, how am I feeling right now? I don't feel anxious. I feel pretty comfortable. Excuse me. I will say my chest does feel a little tight though. My chest feels tight and my back does hurt a bit. My upper back is hurting a bit. So I'm writing that down and I'm asking myself on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is it? Breathing doesn't feel that bad. I would say it's a 4, and my upper back like a 6. Next thing I do is, okay, what emotions am I feeling right now? And it could be the emotions that are associated with my pain, especially when it's a chronic pain. How does that make me feel? Am I mad? Am I frustrated? Am I sad? I feel defeated? Like, what's the emotion that I have that's attached to my pain right now? So for me, and it's not anger, a little frustration here with myself and be completely transparent, because I feel like, oh, I've allowed myself to gain weight and I feel like maybe it's the extra weight on my body that's making my body hurt at this moment. And so I'm a little bit upset with myself. Yeah, that's frustration and anger. That's what I feel coming up. What do I think that's at right now? I'm going to say 5 out of 10. So if ever I have a 10 out of 10 and it's incredibly intense, then I'll ask myself what's more at a 5 or a 6 out of 10, and I start kind of a little bit easier. So I have that now, and I'm going to go through my setup statement. I'm going to say this 3 times, and then I'm going to go through, and all I'm going to do is vent about whatever I'm experiencing right now. So this is you, and you're watching this. Do this along with me. Pause, rewind, go back, do it again, write out how you're feeling, all of that, and then I'm going to do my setup statement. Even though I have this pain in my body and I feel frustrated, I love and I accept myself. Even though I feel pain in my back, my upper back and my chest feels a bit tight, I accept how I'm feeling right now and I love myself. Even though it's hard to say that I love myself, and even though I'm feeling this discomfort, I'm open to tapping on this right now, and I'm open to the possibility that I could feel a bit better. So then I'm going to start on my eyebrow point, which is the first point. This pain in my back and in my chest is uncomfortable. Feels like I can't breathe properly, and I just feel a bit uneasy. I feel stressed out. Oh, okay, I'm stressed out. Didn't even know that. This is my under the arm, and I'm frustrated. I'm angry with myself because I've neglected my health. I'm focusing on everything else. I have been making excuses when it comes to taking care of me. Interesting. When I breathe, I feel it, and it's upsetting to me. I feel frustrated. I feel frustrated. So then I take a breath. So I think I did 2 rounds, like it ends off at the top of your head. Basically, do as many rounds as you need to. I like to do like 3, maybe 4. And you take a breath and reassess. Already, my back is so much better. If I were to re-rate it now, I said 6. I would say now it's about a 3 out of 10. My chest, okay, my chest doesn't feel tight at all. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. And frustration and anger, it's still there a bit. I'm gonna say 2. So it was a 5. So all of my numbers have gone down. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes your numbers don't go down. All that means is you got to keep going, or that there's more layers, right? So again, I used to tap on perfectionism, and once I got that cleared, unworthiness showed up. I was like, oh, okay. So all it means is you kind of got to go a little bit deeper. The best way that tapping works is when you can get as specific as possible. So what I might ask myself is there a situation that I had recently that upset me that might be the reason why my chest feels a bit tight right now? Like, did something happen? If so, I'm going to tap through that specific thing. So again, I just got in a fight with Jasmine. I'm really upset with her. I'm going to, oh man, Jasmine really pissed me off. I can't believe she told me that tapping sucks and that she doesn't believe in it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Why did she say that to me? And you just like, there's no wrong way to do it. You know, all the videos on YouTube have the practitioner doing it and the instructions are to repeat after them. What I will share with you is your own words are always more powerful. And so tapping on the pain, tapping on the emotion of the pain, tapping on an event that has occurred, it's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly powerful. And if you haven't tried it yet with your chronic illness, I'd be happy to help you out with that if you're interested in something like that. You know, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about what I do business-wise as well, Jasmine, but it's still part of one of my services, you know. Some experts would say, wait, you're a clarity coach. Why would you offer tapping for people in pain that has nothing to do with your business? It's because it's what I want to do, damn it, okay? And I'm going with my intuition. And it's still a service I want to provide. I still have, thank you, I still have a lot of people who contact me that with chronic anxiety and don't even have a business. But somehow they see something that I've said or watch a video and they contact me. I don't turn them away. That to me means it's still a part of my calling, and so I still do that. And so, you know, just being yourself, saying how you feel, it's always really powerful. Okay, zip it.
No. This is your chance to plug whatever you want. This is you've done all this for us. It's been over an hour and a minute.
Okay.
So this is your chance to plug whatever you want about yourself, your business, or anything. Feel free to share.
So tapping, I do tapping sessions. The first appointment, it's 2 hours. It's not short because I need to collect some information from you. So what I do is I listen very closely to the words people are saying and I write them down so that when I am tapping with you and you're doing this for the first time, I'm using your own words. And then I encourage the person to then start kind of using them. And any of the coaching that I do, my goal is not to work with you forever. I want to help you and then teach you how to help yourself so that you have that empowerment to move forward. And so I do offer tapping appointments. I don't know. I guess I could probably put a link underneath after if someone wants to schedule a tapping appointment. Again, I don't want to tap with you for 10 years, but I want to show you how to do it on yourself. Sometimes we need assistance. Sometimes there is a specific scenario or like it can turn. It can just take a different turn. And so it's good to have a practitioner who is paying attention to what's going on. What happens sometimes is you're tapping and then a memory pops up that has nothing to do with what you were originally tapping on. But if something pops up, it's worth addressing. So it's like, okay, did anything come up? Write it out. Okay, how did that make you feel? Let's keep going. So in 1 2-hour appointment, we might tap on 3 5 different things depending on whatever's going on with you. Right now I offer it as an appointment by appointment basis, but of course, if you need, like, you know, let's say of working with me every other week or every week, whatever you feel is necessary, I'm always really happy to put some sort of package together and give you a discount. I'm always looking first to help people. And yes, we need to be compensated for our work. If I could do this all for free, I would. But I'm also not greedy, and I'm happy to help people figure out how to pay for things if that's what they desire. And then the second thing I'll talk about is my coaching intensive. It's a 4-hour coaching intensive, which I do know may not be greatest if you're feeling ill. But if it's something that you can see yourself doing, what I love about it is it gets you answers and clarity faster than a lot of these like stretched out coaching programs that are like, oh, sign up for my 8-week program to learn who your ideal client is. I don't think it should take you 8 weeks to figure it out. You can get more and more clarity over a period of 8 weeks. But what I love about this intensive is I send pre-work before it even starts. So you get a bunch of questions that are already going to provoke thinking and just kind of bring up already the emotions that you know you have to deal with or ideas that you have. And then once we get together, the first half is usually, you know, any mindset stuff that you're immediately aware you need to work on. And so if we need to do tapping, we do tapping. If we need coaching, we do coaching, like whatever is required. I do tough love if I need to. And if I can tell the person can handle it, because some people just get lost in their stuff and I need to snap them back to reality. And the intensive is about the strategy. It's like, okay, we got all the other crap out of the way. Let's strategize. Like, so let's say I'm working with any of you, we would take a look at what all of your different levels of expertise are, even if they don't look like they're related. Like for me, there's coaching, there's nutrition, there's fitness, there's Reiki. I used to be a project manager, so I know how to manage projects, you know, like just everything. We put out it all on the table. Here's all your skills, your expertise, everything. What can you offer? What can you charge? And then we get to figure out what you want to work on and how much you're going to charge for it. And what I notice is, and what I want to stress is that a lot of times our end goal for our business is not necessarily what we need to be working on right now. Oh my gosh, my daughter just scared. she just peeked into the room. Honey, I didn't even hear you coming. Come, you say hi. So we get clear on all of the different ideas that you have. And then number one, what do you feel comfortable doing first? Come say hi. Hello. Okay, bye. What you feel comfortable doing first and what the end game is. So I have a woman, for example, she wants to create, what does she want to create? She wanted to create an online fitness membership, and she wants to have 2,000 people in it, and she wants to charge, I think it was like $20 or $40 a month. Great, but that's not where she's got to start now in the beginning stage of her business. She's got a point where she has the expertise, the experience of the results that she's going to give. She needs to work with more people one-on-one, actually, before she can get into that. So we look at what the end game is, but we also look at, okay, what do we need to do now so that you have money coming in, and then what is the plan to eventually get there? So I help you break down all the goals. You bring your planner if you have to bring your planner. If you have to sit there and write it all out in your schedule, we'll do it. It's all about getting the goals and then breaking them down into the steps and then just having the plan to make everything happen. And I just love having it in that condensed period of time, because you get into a flow and then things just start coming out. You know, when you have like 1 hour at a time, it's kind of hard, because sometimes just as things start getting really juicy, it's like time to go. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I'm never done helping. Always at the end of the 4 hours, it's like, man, we could do so much more. So I do the 4 hour appointment, and what that includes is 4 weeks of like touching base. So, you know, I give you a plan at the end of it. You have your 90-day plan of what you need to do, but you might have a question or might want me to review something. Like I have a woman who keeps sending me her handouts and her flyers, and she just wants me to read them and ask, you know, if there's any words she can change. So I help her with that. I want to be that touch point to hold them accountable. And so, you know, I have a longer coaching program too. That's more of a mindset piece. That's more of the confidence level. But everyone that I work with goes through this intensive first. And then those who continue, they'll be invited to do so if I think they're a good fit. But it's always about either tapping to clear away pain or limiting beliefs or fears, or the intensity. I just want to help people get clear, you know, because when you have clarity on stuff, then it's so much easier to get stuff done, right? I didn't have clarity on my ideal client forever. And I thought I did, but like I go even deeper, deep. And when you are so crystal clear on who you serve and how you serve them, everything else starts becoming easy again. Like, how do I contact them? And how do I speak to them on social media? And how do I earn their trust? What information am I supposed to share? What am I supposed to teach them? When you know them better than they know themselves, the actions then become really, really easy to follow.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I think my family's waiting for me to eat. That's why they keep in the room. Right. Like, we're hungry.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll cut the ending short then. So thank you so much for coming in.
Go ahead. If there's anything else you want to say, please. They can wait. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much the most of it. I mean, I definitely had some thoughts and things that came up for me during the talk. And if anyone's watching the replay, feel free to add some comments or questions, and I'm sure Rosanna or I can pop in and answer them. If you would like to, for anyone watching, if you would like to do your own Spoon Spotlight Sunday, feel free to sign up on the form in the attached documents in the group. And I think I love the chit chat. I loved it. So valuable, so good, so juicy, so yummy. And
Okay, thank you.
yeah, so thank you for sharing. And I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And I'm always around in the group, even if I don't necessarily post anything. If anyone has any questions, please feel free.
Alrighty. So I think
Thanks,
that's
everyone. Thanks, Jasmine.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.